we'll get back to more Bozo talk, clearly striking a nerve with Chicagoans. But it's time to talk theater. And for that, this week, we bring into the conversation our pal Chris Jones, the theater critic with the Chicago Tribune. Chris, are you with us?
Speaking of bozo critics, right, here we are.
That's nice.
Well, I didn't want to state the obvious, but as long as you brought it up.
How you doing?
It's a little annoying when you go to a theater with Chris and he's got the gigantic shoes on.
Oh, nice.
Sitting in the theater. Dave, I know Dave Plyer is with us here, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
And Dave's got a couple of adorable kids, I might. What are the exact ages of your three children?
My son is going to be 12. My daughter is 7. And our newest addition, my son is 5 months old.
Oh, wow.
How about that? Yeah, so he's got quite the crew. And Dave is very big on taking his kids, and enjoying Chicago. And
you got to get them out there.
Yeah, that we've got going on. And there are so many great holiday productions that are going on right now. That's why I wanted to touch base with you and see what you've seen and what you recommend and all that.
Well, so I have a few recommendations. Let me start with the production of Annie at the ideal for kids that age, which is at the Paramount Theater in Aurora. And as you know, Dean, the Paramount has been producing its own musicals. It used to take these sort of, second-tier tours, and they figured out that with all the talent in Chicago, they could actually do better by doing their own shows. And it so happened there's a big Broadway revival of Annie as well, which I also saw just a couple of weeks before the one in Aurora. And I got to tell you, the one in Aurora is better. It's a really fantastically well-produced Annie, and Annie is a can't-miss show. And the other thing about it, as you know, the Paramount's this beautiful, Art Deco theater. It's a great place for a kid to see their first Annie. And so, particularly for anybody who lives sort of Naperville area or out in the western burbs in general, you can be at the Paramount in, half an hour from any place around there. And that is an excellent show. It's an all-equity, full orchestra in the pit. Great pipes on the little girl playing Annie. It is really a good show. So that's my number one start.
See, now, Chris, I tell you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dean.
Well, I was going to say, Chris, don't you think this is the best show that they've produced at the Paramount so far?
Yes, it's excellent. Far and away the best. And the sets are beautiful. There's a guy in town who I know you've seen, Dean, called Mike Tutage, who does these projections. He does it at theaters all over town. And I've got to the point where I can always tell if it's his work, And what he's done here is he's used photos of New York during the Depression, huge black and white photos of, under Brooklyn Bridge and that kind of thing. And he's sort of made it a more serious Annie, so that when Annie leaves the orphanage and goes and sings tomorrow, she's singing under sort of this real huge photo of the Brooklyn Bridge. And the peak of sun coming out because Annie's an opera. It's really terrific, really, really terrific.
See, Chris, I don't mind driving out to the burbs. It doesn't matter to me. I like getting out of the city a little bit and seeing that stuff. And I actually my daughter's a big Annie fan. I took her to meet Eileen Quinn at one of those little geeky Hollywood shows. And it was...
How old is Eileen Quinn now?
Oh, I think she's in her early 40s. And she looks great.
Yeah,
She looks great.
Please tell me she was smoking a cigarette while she was
she had a glass of Jim Beam.
Someone come up tomorrow, give me another pack of Pall Mall.
And a glass of Jim Beam, actually, was in her. No, she was nothing but pleasant. But Annie's a great show for any age. But you want to take your daughter out for a nice treat. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, this is a delightful show. And the night that I went, and I think they're doing this throughout the run because they feature an actual dog on stage, a beautifully trained dog to play Sandy, the dog. They've partnered up with an animal shelter, and they have the night that I was there had a beautiful little puppy that was up for adoption.
Oh yeah.
And, the kids were just surrounding the pets and having a great time. So there's a great cause that goes along with it. I also cannot recommend this show highly enough. I think it's fantastic.
All right. Now, not quite as good, but okay. I would say okay is How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which is the musical version of the famous story. This is in a non-equity production downtown. It's ironic, in fact, that the real pros are out in Aurora, and downtown you've got a non-equity show, which drives me crazy, frankly. But let's move on from that and say that as non-equity shows go, this is a touring show, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is not bad. It's quite fun. It's good for kids. And what I mean by that is it's one of those shows, sometimes these downtown holiday shows are kind of, you think of them as for all the family. Annie is like that. Grinch is much more of a specific kids show. I wouldn't go unless you had kids. And the problem with it, of course, is that the story of the Grinch is very short. So when you try to sort of string that out as a full musical, it's a little forced in places. But it's not bad. And, not bad is, if you've gone downtown and you've seen done your shopping in the Loop and everything, you'll have it's only 90 minutes, and the sets are